Hello, and welcome to Go Fund This, a podcast from Nerds Domain. In these episodes, we'll be talking to crowdfund project managers about their projects and what excites them. Come listen as we talk about the passion they have for their project. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Go Fund This, episode 2. This episode, we're going to talk to Brad Shoemaker of Creative Zombie Studios about his Kickstarter podcast studio replacing what the Thieving D-Bags stole. So, hi, Brad. How you doing?
Oh, not too bad. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing all right. It looks like you've got a Kickstarter up, so we'll talk about that. But first, we have two really, really important questions that have nothing to do with your Kickstarter whatsoever.
All right.
That will validate you as a person to our listening base. So, number one, in the impending zombie apocalypse, what is your weapon of choice?
My weapon of choice? I love the machete.
All right. Just a plain old good machete?
Just a plain old good machete.
Good call. Good call. And number two, given all of the sci-fi that you know, what planet do you most want to visit?
Planet that I most want to visit? I can't. Is it Raja or Raja, whatever, the place where they basically the women come and service you and have a great time?
Right on. So a little Star Trek pleasure planet there.
Absolutely. It's like the Vegas for the Star Trek world.
Absolutely. So let's talk about your sales pitch. What exactly is going on with your podcast studio, and why are you replacing things that Thieving D-Bags stole?
Well, it basically comes down to the fact that I had a dream a long time ago. I've worked in radio for around 20 years. And I had a dream that about 4 years ago that I wanted to start a podcast studio, something because, radio's kind of gone downhill a little bit as far as the content and everything merging together, corporations taking over, everybody's, you've got one disc jockey sitting there for, 40 different cities, and it's kind of become the same content over and over. Plus, they're not allowed to talk. The personality's been taken out of radio. But I really enjoyed, talk radio, except for, again, you've got limitations. So I kind of wanted to create this studio where we didn't have the limitations, where it's kind of the Wild West of the way things used to be in radio, where you actually could have fun with it. You could kind of try things, not be afraid to fail. And you don't have to have a lot of investors and a lot of people looking over your shoulder, making sure that the content you produce is stale just because it appeals to a broad audience, whereas podcasting, as you well know, you don't have to have that broad audience. You can appeal to just that subsection of a niche that you really enjoy doing, and it brings it, it's a lot of fun. So I wanted to create this studio where we actually had a place to do that and where I could bring in other podcasters who didn't quite have the equipment together to do it. And I spent quite a lot of money putting this together, my own money. I saved. I made sure that I did it the right way. I didn't want to take on investors. I didn't want to be beholden to the same thing that the radio companies are, beholden to. And I wanted a place just to create fun, interesting content. And on December 18th, that all came crashing down because some Thieving D-Bags came into the studio and they ransacked the place. They took about $30,000 worth of equipment. And again, insurance kind of replaces some of that, but there's a big, wide gulf of what they replaced and what they won't replace. And, it's a lot of technical mumbo jumbo and boring stuff that I should have read in the legalese, but we are where we are. And I'm looking to kind of get back on track and make this a great spot for people to come and be able to put together interesting content and things that they really enjoy doing.
And this isn't just an audio studio. This is also video as well, right?
Yes. The main area that I work out of is the podcast studio itself, which is kind of it's a smaller room. It's not unlike a radio station, but I have cameras that capture things as well because I like doing the video aspect of it as well. And granted, it's not fun video usually because it's just us sitting around talking, but you get to see the people who you're interacting with. And I know with podcasting, it's more one-on-one, as opposed to radio. It feels like they're just talking to a wide audience. Podcasting kind of is that one-on-one interaction where you feel like you're actually part of it because you can chat with the guys, you can, ask questions. I like doing live broadcasts as well so that we can take on live questions and, interact with everybody. And so we have got video cameras up here so that we can see that, but I also have a studio in the back where you can put together more of your TV style, news, I guess, your news sets type of thing to make it to step that up even more for those who really want to, put extra effort into it.
Okay. And so, you've lost you said $30,000 worth of equipment, but your Kickstarter is only asking for about $6,000. Is that right?
Yes, and that's mainly due to the fact that insurance did cover some of it. I mean, we do, as opposed, so that we've got, we're not just a podcast studio. We also create videos for companies, and our money is made doing video and photography. But the podcast studio part of it is the one that had to suffer because that's not the one that makes the money. And so we're replacing the high-end cameras. We're replacing the, the lenses, the long lenses and stuff like that for photography and for video so that we can keep the money coming in so that I can continue to try to run this podcast studio. But the podcast equipment itself, that's the stuff that pretty much got lost. And we just, we've got close to a $10,000 difference, and $6,000 would get us back on our feet, and then I can cover the rest because, again, I don't want to take a lot from people. I want to, give this place as a place for people to do things.
So even after you put your money in and then lost that equipment, you're still going to keep putting your money into this?
Absolutely.
Even with or without Kickstarter?
With or without Kickstarter. It would help things go a lot quicker, but, again, at the end of the day, this is a dream I've had, and I know it's not a moneymaker, but I want to try to reach out and try to get people in there to, just create something interesting and fun. I know I've said interesting and fun a dozen times, which is kind of not very interesting and fun, but I want, and that's the thing. I'm more the behind-the-scenes guy. I've been in radio, I've been on air, but I'm more the behind-the-scenes guy. I produce, and I let the talent pretty much take it the rest of the way.
And you know how to produce, right? You've been doing Hammer and Nigel now for 4 years?
Yes. We started the podcast Hammer and Nigel basically after I was let go from Clear Channel, which is X103, Q95 to those who are in the area, and Clear Channel, the evil empire to the rest of the world. But basically, I was let go from there in a money kind of move where they were trying to, again, take away the talent and put more of the people on national or more DJs from other cities into the area. And I wasn't a DJ at that time. I was actually the web director. But they let me go as part of that move. And when they did, I got together with a couple of friends who were also out of radio at the time. And we decided, you know what? Screw radio. Let's do something fun. And so we put together the show. And it's been 4 years now, and I had to learn all this stuff because I was not an engineer, so I didn't really know what I needed to do as far as the equipment goes. I had to learn all of this and piece it all together over the past 4 years. And finally, I've gotten to the point where we started with just a mixer and a couple microphones. Then we got better microphones. Then we got a better mixer, and before you know it, I was able to put a video camera to it. And then I wound up figuring out how to do 3 video cameras and make it a multi-camera shoot. And it just became this big production. And, before that, I was also producer for 2 sports shows in town as well. So I know how to edit. I know how to, put the content out there. I know how to get the guest. It's just I had to learn the equipment. And that's what the Hammer and Nigel show pretty much taught me.
Okay, fair enough. So you guys have raised a little over $700 in, 2 days now?
Right, which is... not where I would like to be, obviously. We're trying to hit the gate out quick, but people. I don't know why I haven't. Maybe it's not appealing to people yet, but I'm trying to change up the rewards a little bit, trying to make some things that I think people will really enjoy, especially those who are in the podcast realm. But it's very humbling because on the same day that we launched this. The Oatmeal launched their card game and has like $2 million or $2 million funded, and I'm like, okay, well, that's a little bit humbling. I just have 726, and I'm just trying to get to a measly $6,000. But I love the Oatmeal, and I'm a backer of that card game, so I can't wait to enjoy that when it comes out.
So you are just attempting to replace the equipment, but what podcasts are you looking at producing yourself out of the space?
One of the things that I wanted to do, and we already kind of started the show a little bit. I was waiting to get a few episodes under our belt before I released it to the world. Is Launchpad, which is it's more of a businessy show. It's I know a lot of people out there are trying to put together their own companies, and so we wanted to talk to people who have their own companies, who started their own companies, who've sold their companies for billions of dollars. I know this has kind of been done, but we really want to focus on the failures because I think the failures are the most interesting part of people's lives when they put together a business. It's something that gets overlooked. I know it's kind of becoming a thing now where people actually are, a failure is a badge of honor, but for the longest time, a failure basically kicked you out of the market, especially in Indianapolis. I don't think it's really changed much around here, but a failure pretty much puts that scarlet letter on your chest. And I think it's actually battle testing. I think that actually puts you out there and makes you, hey, I've done this, I've been through it, I know what it takes to move to the next level. And so we've talked with restaurateurs. We're going to be talking with people who've sold their companies for billions of dollars. And I've got a lot of wonderful guests that are lined up that aren't afraid to talk about the dirty details. And we're not a typical business show. I'm not going to be clean and friendly. We do we do cuss. We do, it's not intentional. It's just kind of in the realm of talking to a friend kind of happens. And so it's more along the lines of something that I think people will really enjoy as opposed to your uptight, I'm doing business show type of thing.
Okay. So looking at the project, it looks like you've got this $6,000 split up over four areas that you need to spend money on: a mixer, microphones, a computer, and Skype machines. So this control computer is $2,000. So it's a third of your project completely. Why is that so expensive? Can you help the non-podcasting community out there understand why that's so important?
Because the control computer basically controls everything. I mean, and I've built two control, as I call them, control computers now. One's my Rode control computer, which we used for the Hammer and Nigel show, and thankfully survived because it was at my house at the time. But the second one is the studio version, and it is it's a beast. It's got an i7. It is very beefy when it comes to RAM and everything. Because when you're doing a podcast, and you need the CPU, you need, especially when you've got video cameras coming in and you're streaming out, you need something that can handle all those pieces coming into the machine and, it being able to put out a high quality, finalized, finished product. And that's why that's the most expensive piece. The Skype machines, stuff like that, are basically going to be your Mac Minis. They don't need to be very beefy. I might even find a way to get them cheaper than that. Your mixer, I like a high-end mixer just because there's so much you can do with it. I usually use the Personas brand mixers because we have the ability to put a little gate on things because, where we're at is not exactly soundproof. So you might get that those small sounds elsewhere, but if you put just a tad bit of gate on it, it'll kind of stop the mic from picking those up. And you also have your EQ, compression, stuff like that built into it, so you don't have to have an external processor to do those things. So I really like the Personas mixers, and then of course my choice of microphone is the SM7B. It's the one that I've enjoyed using the most. Right now I'm on an SM58 just because, well, it's what I've got now that the others have been taken. But it gives, I like the sound of the way it is, and other people may like the Re-20s and a bunch of other, and I know we're talking technical speak here, but other people might like, I'll nerd out to microphones all day long, but people might like the other microphones better, and, I've got no issues with those as well, but usually they run around $350, so it's an expensive bid if you want to put together something that's going to be high quality, and I'm all about high quality.
Absolutely. You've got about 12 different pledge levels. I personally pledged at the $25 level. I always like to tell my listeners where I came in on this,
right?
Because I back most projects that I talk to. But you've got all kinds of stuff on here. As far as one of them, if you back for $10,000, which will put you way over your goal,
right?
So the person that backs for $10,000, and it can be one of two people because there are two options or two people available there. You'll fly them out to Vegas for a special event there with Hammer and Nigel show, and that includes your airfare and hotel, right?
Yes. Every single year, the Hammer and Nigel show, we go to Vegas in October. And it's been one of those things that we put the podcast together and it was like, well, screw it. We're going to do something fun. We used to remember back in the day of old radio having these major excursions to an island in the Bahamas or something like that, where you basically would just drink and have fun and do, and we're older now, so we may not do that as much. We don't get, drunk and stumble into our rooms every night, but it's fun to just take people out to Vegas and just have them hang with you and hang with the people that listen and hang, and it's a lot of fun to do that with some sponsors that we have for the show. And just, it also is a kind of a bonding experience for the show itself. And we got great stories to tell and have wonderful content to put on the air afterwards. So every year we've gone to Vegas, and every year we've had some, incidents happen and just fun stuff that we can talk about. And, it's been a lot of fun, and I want to keep doing that, and I want more people to come, and I would love to bring a backer there. And I know it's a hefty price, and I know it puts it over, but you're going to be spending time with us. You're going to be on the show with us. We're also going to pay for you and a guest, so it's not just you coming out. It would be a guest coming out as well. And we don't stay for 2 days. We usually stay for 3 or 4 days, which I know is a lot in Vegas time, but we have a lot of fun with it, and we'll send you to a show. We'll send you to a great dinner. So it's not all going towards what I'm doing. I'm trying to give as much back as I can. And on top of that, they'll also get studio time. So if they want to come into the studio and put something together, we'll give them time. I'll produce it from start to finish, and they'll also get some quality headphones and a quality mic out of the deal.
Yeah, you're offering some mics and headphones at different levels, the stuff that you like to use, right?
Yeah, I mean, and then it's not all, at some of the lower levels, I've got the ATR 2100 mic, which is an excellent beginner mic. I call it a beginner mic, but it's really good. It has a really good sound to it. I think it's only about $60, $70, something like that. And it's USB, because I know a lot of people who do this only have their laptop. And I've always said, if you're going to get into podcasting, the only thing that matters when you first get in is just find some way to record yourself, and make sure you do it on a regular basis, whether it be just you're talking into your phone or an iPad, whatever it is, just get into it. See if you like it before you start spending the heavy money buying other things. This would kind of be a step up. The ATR 2100 is a mic that has a great sound to it, but it's also USB it's also a USB mic that can also plug into a mixer. So you can plug it directly into your computer. You don't need to have a mixer to plug it in. But at the same point, if you do have a mixer available, you can, plug it in that way as well.
And you've also got a couple of different levels where they have access to your podcasting studio. You've mentioned that, but also to you as a consultant to help them get off the ground.
Right. I've never been one of those guys that want to put together a show where I consult. There's tons of podcast consulting shows out there, I guess. I'm more the type that I would rather do something one-on-one with somebody. I'd rather spend my time helping somebody out, in a one-on-one setting, as opposed to just doing it. Because, again, there are plenty of great shows that I can point you to. It's been done. I want to do something different. I like spending more time with an actual person than spending time on, I'd rather do my podcasting endeavors in a different way and on different subjects that I feel that we can cover a little better. So when it comes to consulting, I love doing the one-on-ones, because then I can get more intimate with what you actually have to deal with and what your setup is and what your budget is.
Excellent. So you've got all these levels. You've got lots of different stuff going on. Lots
Probably
of different
too much.
No, I think a dozen is a good number. You even get to the level where you get the bottoms up beer cooler at home, which that looks awesome.
Yeah. Our Launchpad host, like I said, I don't like to usually host shows. I'll do a lot of co-hosting where I'll chime in when I need to, but I'm usually also running the things behind the scenes, so I don't want to be my mind taken away from the interview while I'm running stuff. But at the same point, I do jump in from time to time and, kind of play that co-host role, kind of get things back on track when we get, way off on a tangent. But at the same point, Josh is the host of Launchpad. And the reason why I picked him as the host is because he has one of the best entrepreneurial stories you'll ever hear. It involves steroids, the cops, baseball, a ton of stuff. You'll enjoy it when it comes out, which, again, should probably be in March. But his story is so fascinating, and he's an entrepreneur himself. He's the guy that decided, out of the blue, beer should be filled from the bottom of the cup. So he put together this system where you just put this plastic cup on, a contraption while you're at, an arena. You'll see these a lot at the arenas. You put the cup on there, and it fills the beer from the bottom up, and it's hands-free, so they can take your, cards and check your IDs and take your money, and then hand you a beer that they didn't have to then, after doing all that stuff, go over and fill, and usually have to dump out about half of it while they try to fill it up because, again, it fills from the bottom up, a perfect fill every time. And so we want to give that, that experience to the home user in the form of a tailgate cooler.
Right on. It looks like you've got lots of stuff going on, lots of good levels. I have backed for $25, and I'm going to get all kinds of amazing stuff for that. It looks like your first stretch goal is already up, and it looks like you'll be putting together a 6-episode mini podcast for all of your backers. Is that right?
Yes. And I've kind of narrowed down a couple things what I want to do. Maybe, I want to find out what people's interests are, and I'm going to be surveying pretty much everybody as it comes to a close to find out exactly what they would like the podcast to be over. I'll pick from those, and we'll put together a 6-episode series where I think it'll touch the majority of our of my backers, and try to do something where I might even get them involved, call them up, interview them, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. I can't wait to get to that point.
Excellent. Well, I think that about covers your project. The best of luck to you, and I'm looking forward to it. I think if I were in the same situation, I would be exceptionally irritated about losing any equipment, let alone all the equipment. And then you were telling me that you had lost the archive of all the Hammer and Nigel shows you'd done as well.
Yeah, if I could go back, the only thing that really matters out of the entire... I've made my peace with the fact that it's gone. I've made my peace with the fact that somebody, broke into the office. We've since installed a brand new security system, gotten better cameras around, because we have a camera DVR issue where we can't even... It stopped probably 3 to 5 days before the break-in happened, where something and we didn't check it, and that was, again, our fault. That wasn't going at the time. But, so I've come back in, I've learned a lot, and one of the things that I've learned is the backups are the most important, because I thought I was doing pretty well. I had a backup to the backup. The problem was when the computer, your backup hard drive, and your backup hard drive are all in the same place, it's not that great, because, again, a fire, I should have thought about a fire, could have come in here and ruined all my work. And in this case, a burglar came in and took everything, including those hard drives, which, again, the hard drives... nothing to them. They were a couple terabyte hard drives. I doubt they're going to get much money for them on the black market, and there's not any information on there that is going to be good for them. All it had was 4 years of the Hammer and Nigel show, which are online as well, but the raw audio and raw video from those shows and episodes, and some other things that we had recorded but never actually put out there yet that I wanted to put together a special edition type of thing later on. They had my portfolio of work from everything that I've done design-wise, from web design-wise and graphic design-wise, from logos for X-Fest and all these things I put together in my radio years to present. And it's just, all of that's gone, and if I could get anything back, those two things are the only things that I want back, my hard drives.
Yeah, no, I understand that. So we can find you over at creativezombie.com, is that right?
Yes. And that site's going through an overhaul as we speak, but yes.
And then if our listeners want to get a quick jump over to the Kickstarter, they can go to tinyurl.com/Thieving D-Bags. That'll take you right to the Kickstarter page. And thank you very much, Brad, for being on. But I think
Absolutely.
that will do us tonight. So you can always find us on Facebook and on Twitter, like you always can. You can head over to the nerdsdom.com webpage and sign up for our newsletter there. You can find us on patreon.com/nerdsdomain. And we want to thank Jarby McCoy for our music. He put together something nice for us, and we appreciate that. And I guess we'll talk to you guys real soon.
This has been a production of the Omega Nerds Network, the network where it's on.